It's my great honor to welcome back to our convention perhaps the single most requested guest speaker we've had since I began chairing this convention in 2010. Brother Cecil Roberts, President of the United Mine Workers, who is also an honorary member of the NALC. Now, without the Mine Workers Union and its legendary president, John L. Lewis, there would be no modern American labor movement. In the 1930s, the UMWA financed the creation of the Congress of Industrial Organizations, the CIO of the AFL-CIO, that helped create the auto workers, the steel workers, and many other industrial unions. Cecil, and before him, the late, great Richard Trumka, were and are worthy successors to John L. Lewis. But as we speak, Cecil is leading an epic battle against the Warrior Met Coal Company in Brookwood, Alabama, where members of the UMWA have been on strike since April of 2021. 16 long months. And if that wasn't enough, the Mine Workers Union is also facing a very hostile regional office of the National Labor Relations Board that has taken the side of the company in the picket line disputes. On July 22nd, Region 10 of the NLRB, they endorsed Warrior Met's grossly inflated claims of losses that they incurred due to these disputes. They sent the mine workers an outrageous bill for $13.3 million. Of course, we're working with Cecil's union and the entire AFL-CIO to fight back against the NLRB and the company. We stand in solidarity with the Warrior Met's brave workers and their families. Now, Brother Cecil is from West Virginia. After serving in the military and doing a tour of duty in Vietnam, he went to work as a miner in 1971. He became active in Miners for Democracy, the reform movement within the United Mine Workers, which sprung up in the 70s and successfully transformed and democratized the union. In 1989, Cecil was the on-site leader and strategist and chief negotiator in the mine workers' 10-month strike against Pittston Coal. He showed then, and he has shown ever since, that he's a warrior for working people in America. Now, since he spoke at our last convention in Detroit, well, we had to get a new podium, but also UMWA successfully fought in Congress to save the United Mine Workers pension plan, which was struggling thanks to the coal companies that were reneging on promised benefits by manipulating federal bankruptcy laws. Cecil led that fight as well, rallying the rest of the labor movement behind him. If you want to know the heart and the soul of the American labor movement, you want to know Cecil Roberts. Brothers and sisters, accompanied by delegates from Alabama and West Virginia, it's my pleasure to welcome back Brother Cecil Roberts, President of the United Mine Workers of America.
Would you mind if I do something, because I just love your president and I love your leadership. And if Fred would come back up here for just a second. Don't want to embarrass him. If he gets embarrassed, that's just okay. Let me say this about Fred. Fred and I have been friends now, I guess 12, 15 years. We serve on committees together at the AFL-CIO. And one of the greatest honors in my life was when Fred invited me to speak in Anaheim. And then 6 years later, he invited me to speak in Los Angeles. Then 6 years later, he invited me to speak here. Just a warning, notification, you may not want to wait 6 years to invite me back because I'm getting older. But it seems like since the inception of our union in 1890, that there's always a fight. And our people continue to ask me, why do all these fights come our way? Why are we the ones that always have to fight and strike and do without? And there's one answer to that. God knows coal miners can handle it. And I'm going to ask you to help me out here. Fred, are you pretty good videoing with your camera? Stand by. If you're not, get somebody that can, because I'm going to take you right to Alabama here in a minute. And I want you to stand up here momentarily for those brothers and sisters who've been on strike about 494 days in Alabama. People say you can't strike in the South. You can't strike in Alabama. But I want you to know something. We are striking in Alabama. Warrior Mat never existed before 2016. Jim Walters Resources owned those mines. Bankruptcy. In bankruptcy, the judge said, listen to these words. They're repeated everywhere, in every bankruptcy. You can sell this company free and clear. What does that mean? They cut off the retirees' health care, but we got it back. They did away with the pensions. They did away with the wages. And they said, Apollo from New York, Wall Street, hedge fund, we ought to do away with hedge funds. They're the workers' worst enemy. Bought this company out of bankruptcy. Did you know you don't even have a right to your job when that bankruptcy judge hits that gavel, says free and clear? You don't have a right to be represented by your union that's been there 50, 60 years. You don't have a right to go back to the job you've had for 30 years. Brothers and sisters, we not only need labor law reform, we need bankruptcy reform. But the union said this to these Wall Street three-piece $10,000 suits. Nobody is working there but us. Period. Full stop. No more discussion. We ended up with our jobs, but with the worst contract anywhere in this country. $1 billion in concessions. 5 years later, we want some of that back. We didn't say give it all back. And they gave us $1.50 over 5 years after taking $6. We said we're not taking this. We went on strike, and we've been on strike ever since. And let me take you to what it's like in Alabama. There's not a politician in the state of Alabama that's bothered to walk a picket line with our brothers and sisters. Not one. There isn't but one that came to a rally, and we've had 50 some of them. We rally every Wednesday. We just changed that to every other Wednesday lately. People are tired, giving up a break. But let me tell you, when somebody runs up to me, particularly in Alabama, and says, we're all for you. Where you been? Where you been? When these people been doing without, been on strike this whole time. We had a hearing up on Capitol Hill in the United States Senate, and the Senator Tommy Tuberfield, who couldn't coach football and he ought not to be a senator either, came up here and stood with Warrior Met and would not even speak to these strikers. But let me tell you something. Brothers and sisters, we aren't quitting. We're going to fight. And then, Region 10 of the National Labor Relations Board decided we should pay for the driver that's hauling the scabs into the premises of Warrior Met. We should pay for that parking lot that they built. And oh yeah, poor Warrior Met, poor Warrior Met, you've cost them money financially. Guess what? The country understood many years ago that it is a right of workers in this country to strike and put pressure on their employer. And I'm here to submit to you that the NLRB, at least in Region 10, has got this upside down. They said we owe them $13 million. We're not giving Warrior Met a dime, not a dime, not a dime. Some of our brothers and sisters who are with us today may have been to a rally or two. Maybe they've been to a march. But in Alabama, we've got this chance. This is your opportunity right here to send a message of lifting up those strikers. When 5,000 of you will be willing to stand in unison to do what we've been doing. And this is what we say. I say, Warrior Met ain't cold. Warrior Met cold. You say, ain't got no soul. This sounds like some of the other movements we've been in for the past 100 years. What's your part? Ain't got no soul. All of you. If you want to help these strikers, you want to lift them up, you want to send a message of Warrior Met, get on your feet right now. Are you ready in the back? We're going to put this on our Facebook page if it's all right with your president and your board. We're going to practice once. Warrior Met Cole. Practice one more time, please. Warrior UMWA. Here we go. UMWA. 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 Thank you. Just stay right where you are a minute. Don't sit down. Please don't sit down. I'm going to wrap this up right now. I know I'm taking up a lot of time. But we need to be about the movement when we leave here. We need to be about the business of organizing. Mother Jones says, don't mourn, organize. And we need to be about the business of every one of us, being an organizer, not just a few of us. And if you want to be an organizer, we need to change the law. All we need from these politicians is to give us our God-given right to join a union free of harassment. Free of scabs. And when we get there right, they can get out of the way. And then we'll go out across this country and we'll pose these questions. Do you want higher wages? Join a union. If you want health care, you should. If you want retirement security, you should. If you want job security, equal pay. If you want to turn that bad job you got into a good one, you should. If you want a safer job, healthier job, if you want to protect Social Security, Medicare, if you want to grow the middle class, and if you just want to tell the boss to kiss your ass, you should. Someday, we are not totally free until we can join any union we want without the threat of being fired, without the threat of scabs. But someday, in the immortal words of Dr. King, we can all say, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. Thank you.